Good morning, everyone. Today we will continue with the story, The Face on the Wall. In the previous class, we saw that the narrator, the little man, was able to meet the person with the face on the wall, and he followed him so that he can talk to him. First, he followed him in a taxi. He was unable to catch up with him. He tried to talk to him at the railway station. Still, he was unable to do that. Then he followed him in the boat to the ship. And even before he boarded the ship, he tried to talk to him. He couldn't. So he took a ticket to Boulogne in France and boarded the ship. And in the ship, he was able to meet the man with the face on the wall. He got the visiting card of the person, and he gathered from the visiting card, he understood from the visiting card that the name of the man was Ormond Wall with an address in USA. So he was from USA and his name was Ormond Wall. So the narrator was shocked on reading the name. Where so the reasons that he is shocked is that the name of the place where he stays, or rather the street where he stays, is the Great Ormond Street, and it is the same name that he has got. So here the name of the street is mentioned here again in the next paragraph. And wall is the place where this man's face is projected. Because of these two reasons, the narrator is shocked, and because of the shock, he fell ill. He was unconscious, and he was admitted in a hospital in Boulogne, from where he returned very recently. So this is what he said. And after saying this, he becomes silent before he continues with the story. So why is he silent? As we said yesterday, he is trying to measure the impact of the story upon the audience. So let us now continue with the next paragraph. So it says that we looked at him. That is, we means the listeners of this story, or rather the experience, the people who are gathered at the house of Mr. Dabney. So they look at him and they look at one another. So this indicates the anxiety of the listeners to know more about the story. So that is why they are looking at one another, and they are also looking at the narrator. So the next paragraph. Lima Krishna, please read. Lima Krishna,
Yes, sir.
please read.
I went back. He started once again after a moment or so. To a great Ormond Street and set to work to find out all I could about this American. I wrote to Pittsburgh. I wrote to American editors. I made friends with Americans in London. But all that I could find out was that he was a miller- million millionaire with സർപ്പിൻ കാണുന്നില്ല.
With English. Okay, okay.
English parents who had resided in London.
Okay, thank you. So this paragraph, there are a lot of I's here. I went back. I wrote to Pittsburgh. I wrote to American editors. I made friends with Americans. I could find out who is this I here. I went back. I wrote. I found out. Who is this I? Arani I. There are many I's, but there is only one he here. He was a millionaire. ബാക്കിയെല്ലാം ഐ ആണ്. ഐ വെന്റ് ബാക്ക്. ആരാണ് ഐ? ഓക്കെ, പേജ് തെറ്റിയ. പേജ് 45. ഇത് വായിച്ചില്ലേ? He was surprised. ഇവിടെയാണോ നിർത്തിയത്?
എക്സ്ക്യൂസ് മീ തൊട്ടാണ് കാണുന്നത്.
Okay, ശരി. So he asked for his card. He asked for the business card of the person, and he tells him that he has a very important reason in asking it. So he talks to the man and he asks him for his business card, and he gives him his business card and leaves. So when he reads the business card, what is written on the business card? It is written Mr. Ormond Wall with an address at Pittsburgh, USA. After reading this, he was shocked because the name of the person is similar to the place where his features are appearing. രണ്ട് ഭാഗങ്ങളുണ്ട്. ഒന്ന് സ്ട്രീറ്റിൻ്റെ പേരും ഒന്ന് ഈ ഫേസ് അപ്പിയർ ചെയ്യുന്ന സ്ഥലം, അതായത് വാളാണ്, ചുമരാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെ രണ്ട് കാര്യങ്ങളും അയാളുടെ പേരിൽ വന്നത് കണ്ട് അയാൾക്ക് ഭയങ്കര സർപ്രൈസായി. Because it is an extreme surprise, he became shocked. He fell unconscious. He was in a hospital in Bologna, and he came back only very late from there because he did not have money, so he had to contact many people before he could come back. And once he comes back, he starts exploring. He starts to find out who is this person. തിരിച്ചു വന്ന ബോധമൊക്കെ തിരിച്ചു കിട്ടിയപ്പോൾ ഇത് ആരാണ് എന്താണെന്നൊക്കെ അറിയാനൊരു ആകാംക്ഷയായി. So that is why he starts exploring to find out who is this. So I here is the narrator, that is the little man. So the little man is trying to find out who is this person. A visiting card മാത്രമേ അയാളുടെ കയ്യിലുള്ളൂ. അത് വെച്ച് he tries to find out who is this American, whose face. ഇപ്പോൾ ഈ അമേരിക്കൻ്റെ പ്രത്യേകത എന്താണ്? This American's face is there in my England home. രണ്ടും രണ്ട് കോണ്ടിനെൻ്റ് ആണ്. ഒരു ഭൂഖണ്ഡത്തിലുള്ള ഒരാളുടെ ഫീച്ചേഴ്സ് വേറൊരു ഭൂഖണ്ഡത്തിലുള്ള ഒരാളുടെ വീട്ടിൽ വരികയാണ്. ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് എ മിസ്റ്ററി, നിഗൂഢമായിട്ടുള്ള കാര്യമാണ്. സോ ഹി ഡസൻ അണ്ടർസ്റ്റാൻഡ്. സോ ഹി വാണ്ട്സ് ടു ഫൈൻഡ് ഔട്ട് അയാൾ എന്തെങ്കിലും ഇവിടെ ഉള്ള ആളാണോ എന്നൊക്കെ. സോ ഹി റോട്ട് ടു അമേരിക്കൻ എഡിറ്റേഴ്സ്, ദറ്റ് ഇസ് ന്യൂസ് പേപ്പർ എഡിറ്റേഴ്സ്. ഹി കോൺടാക്റ്റഡ് അമേരിക്കൻസ് ഹു ആർ ലിവിങ് ഇൻ ലണ്ടൻ. ബ്രിട്ടനിലുള്ള അമേരിക്കൻസിനോട് കോൺടാക്ട് ചെയ്തു. ബട്ട് ഹി കുഡ് നോട്ട് ഗ്യാദർ മച്ച് ഇൻഫർമേഷൻ. ഓൾ ദാറ്റ് ഹി അണ്ടർസ്റ്റുഡ് ദാറ്റ് ഹി വാസ് എ മില്യനെയർ. ഒരു കോടീശ്വരനാണ്, ഒരു വലിയ പണക്കാരനാണെന്ന് മാത്രമാണ് മനസ്സിലായത്. സോ he only understood that he was a millionaire who had parents who had once lived in London. ലണ്ടനിൽ അയാളുടെ പേരൻസ് ജീവിച്ചിരുന്നു, പക്ഷേ ഇയാൾ അമേരിക്കക്കാരനാണെന്നാണ് മനസ്സിലായത്. So this all the more causes a lot of surprise for him, because it is a person who is living in USA. Though he is a millionaire, his features have no reason to be reflected in a house in London. So now we come to the next part of the story. This almost takes us to the climax of the story. Nishita, please. Nishita. Okay, Sri Lakshmi case, you read.
Yes, sir. And so the time went on until yesterday morning. I had gone to bed more than usually, tired, and slept till late. When I woke, the room was bright with sunlight. As I always do, I looked at once at the wall on which the face is to be seen. I rubbed my eyes and sprang up. It was only faintly visible. Last night it had been clear as ever, almost. I could hear it speak, and now it was a ghost of its.
Thank you, Sri Lakshmi. So now we are reaching the almost the end of the story, because when he began the story, you will remember that he said that this happened, though this is an experience, he says that it is an experience. This experience actually completed itself this afternoon, and I so if you remember where he says that I'll show you that, where he says that this occurrence, it is an occurrence. See here in the beginning of the story, I could tell you an occurrence which happened to me personally and strangely enough completed itself only this afternoon. And he also says that it begins a year or two ago. അപ്പോൾ ഏകദേശം 2 വർഷം നീണ്ടു നിന്ന ഒരു എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ് ആണ്. അതായത് yesterday, which means it is going to, the experience is going to end, because the experience ends today. So when he says that it went on until yesterday morning, he is talking about almost the end of the story, that is end of this experience. So that is what he is going to say. That is what he is going to share now. And so the time went on until yesterday morning. So when he woke up, so he had said that this face never changed. When all the other patches in the room changed their shapes, this never changed. But now he is surprised because it is now only faintly visible. Faintly visible means it is not properly visible. Faintly visible means it is dimly seen. It is not very clearly seen. It is very dimly seen. It is very dim, not bright. Okay, so that is uh, the condition of the face now. Whereas all the other marks on the wall changed, this never changed. But suddenly yesterday morning, it changed. And that is why he is shocked and he rubs his eyes and sprang up. To spring up means to jump. When do you jump? When you are shocked, when you are surprised, you jump. So he jumps up when he sees that these faces become dim. So why could have the face become dim? എന്തുകൊണ്ടായിരിക്കും ഫേസ് dim ആയത്? കഴിഞ്ഞ രാത്രി വരെ അത് വളരെ ക്ലിയർ ആയിരുന്നു. കാരണം ഇന്നും ഇയാൾ ആ ഫേസ് ഒബ്സർവ് ചെയ്യും. എന്നും അയാൾ ക്ലിയർ ആയിരുന്നു. ഓൾമോസ്റ്റ് ഐ കുഡ് ഹിയർ ഇറ്റ് സ്പീക്ക് എന്ന്. ശരിക്കും ഒരാൾ അവിടെ ഇരിക്കുന്ന പോലെ അത്ര ക്ലിയർ ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഫേസ്. ബട്ട് നൗ ഇറ്റ് വാസ് എ ഗോസ്റ്റ് ഓഫ് ഇറ്റ് സെൽഫ്. എന്നാൽ ഇപ്പോൾ ഒരു തെളിച്ചമില്ലാതെ ഒരു പ്രേതം പോലുള്ള ഒരു ഫേസ്. സോ വാട്ട് കുഡ് ഹാവ് ഹാപ്പൻഡ്? Can you make some simple guesses? Why is that face which was always bright suddenly become dim yesterday? The face came there, almost 1 or 2 years ago, but yesterday morning suddenly it has become dim. What could have been the reason? It could not be the climate, because the climate has been there for the past 2 years also. Nothing had happened to the wall, the face on the wall. Whether there is rain or sunshine, all the other patches kept changing, but this face remained the same. Any guesses? Nobody is interested in guessing. Very good, Shima. Something must have happened to the man. Yes, thank you for that response. So let us see what happens. So you can see in the next paragraph that something has happened to the man. That is right, Sri Lakshmi also said. So let us see what happened to that man. Safinat. Safinat.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I got up confused and sad and went out. The early editions of the papers were already out. I saw the headline, American Millionaire's Motor Accident. I bought it and read, Mr. Ormond Wall, the Pittsburgh Pittsburgh millionaire and party motoring in Italy, were hit by a wagon and the car overturned. Mr. Wall's condition was critical.
Thank you, Safinat. So as you guessed it right, something has happened to the man and he has not yet died. He is in a critical condition. Okay, critical condition. So critical means serious. So he is in a serious condition because he is One second. So he is referred to as the Pittsburgh millionaire. So something has happened to him. As we said, he has met with an accident. Pittsburgh എന്ന് പറയുന്ന സ്ഥലത്തിന്റെ പേരാണ്. So he is a millionaire from Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is a place in USA. So this man, Ormond Wall, is met with an accident. So that is there in the newspaper. Auto accident എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൊരു heading. So when he reads that news article, it says that the millionaire and party, means the group of people traveling with him, they were traveling in Italy. They were hit by a wagon. Wagon means a truck. So, and the car overturned, means it toppled. മറിഞ്ഞു വീണു. Overturned means to topple. Topple is another word. മറിഞ്ഞു വീഴുക, തലകുത്തി വീഴുന്നത്. That is overturning. So it is a very serious accident and his condition was critical. So that is what he understands only when he reads the newspaper. So he doesn't have any clue about what had happened to him when he saw the face becoming dim. But when he reads the newspaper, he understands that this millionaire has met with an accident. And so he tries to relate this news to the what happened to the picture. Okay, so he thinks that there might be some relationship between the man and the image of the man that has appeared on his bedroom wall. So there seems to be some relationship between the man's life and the picture or the face that has emerged here and in this bedroom wall of this person. Aditya.
Hello?
Yes, Ray.
I went back to my room and sat on the bed, looking with unseeing eyes at the face on the wall, and even as I looked, suddenly it completely disappeared. Later I found that Mr. Wall died of his injuries at what I take it to be that very moment. Again he was silent.
Thank you, Aditya. So he goes back to his room. He sees, he looks at that picture, but even as he was looking, while he was looking at the picture, we have already learned that the picture is dim, but suddenly it completely disappeared. നേരത്തെ dim ആയിരുന്നു picture, now it completely disappeared. It is as if movie സ്ക്രീനിലൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ കാണുന്നത് പ്രൊജക്ടർ ഓഫ് ചെയ്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ വെള്ള സ്ക്രീൻ ആകുന്നത് പോലെ, that wall has become completely blank without that image suddenly. The image was there for the past 2 years. It was very clear. Only in the morning that it became dim, and now it has completely disappeared. So when it disappeared, he later understands, because at those days they had no mobile phones or new gadgets which would give immediate information. Later he understood that this Mr. Wall had died of his injuries almost at the same time when this face disappeared. So this is the story that the man tells him. And after telling this, so this is the experience. So after telling this, he is silent. So who is silent? Again he was silent എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. Who is silent? Again he was silent. Who is silent? Exactly. Little man. Little man, Shma. Yes, yes. So the little man, that is the narrator, he is silent. Why is he silent? He is silent so as to observe the effect of the story upon the audience. അപ്പോൾ സൈലൻ്റ് ആയിരിക്കുന്നത് എന്തിനു വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ്? ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞ സ്റ്റോറി എങ്ങനെ എഫക്റ്റീവായിട്ടുണ്ടോ, അവർക്ക് അത് ഇമ്പ്രസീവ് ആയിട്ടുണ്ടോ എന്നറിയാൻ വേണ്ടിയാണ് അയാൾ സൈലൻ്റ് ആയിട്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. ഓക്കെ, ആൻഡ് ഹി ഈസ് വെയിറ്റിംഗ് ഫോർ ദ റെസ്പോൺസ് ഓഫ് ദ ഓഡിയൻസ്. So what will be your response? Suppose you listen, when you have listened to this experience, what is your response? Whether it is bad or good or impressive or surprising or shocking or any response that you, suppose you were there in the group listening to this little man, the narrator, what will be your response to him? How will you respond? How would you respond? Exactly, you will be shocked, you will be surprised, you will be very much impressed with the story. Very good, Shima. So yeah, this is the same response that these people also show when they respond. See, they say that it is most remarkable, most extraordinary. They are using superlative terms. ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ളതിനെ നമ്മൾ ഇംഗ്ലീഷിൽ സൂപ്പർലേറ്റീവ്സ് എന്നാണ് പറയാം. മോസ്റ്റ് റിമാർക്കബിൾ, മോസ്റ്റ് എക്സ്ട്രാ ഓർഡിനറി, മോസ്റ്റ് വെച്ച് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ഇതിനേക്കാളും മികച്ചത് കേട്ടിട്ടില്ല എന്നുള്ള അർത്ഥത്തിൽ. സോ ദിസ് ഈസ് സംതിങ് വെരി വെരി ഇംപ്രസീവ്. Everyone in the audience is impressed. All of them are impressed so much, and they meant it also. They were serious about their appreciation. So they appreciated the story or the experience narrated by the stranger. Now he goes on to explain. So here the narrator is mentioned as a stranger again, because if you remember the story, the beginning of the story, he is also referred to as a stranger. The story begins, he is referred to as a stranger. Here you can again see that same stranger in this. That is the beginning of the page. Among the strangers to me was a little man. So this little man is now again referred to as a stranger here, because they have not seen him before in the discussion group. He has suddenly come here today and to listen to this group, and now he is again referred to as a stranger in this towards this part of the story. So here the stranger is the little man. Okay, so he is the narrator as well as the little man. എല്ലാം ഒരേ ആൾ തന്നെയാണ്. സ്ട്രേഞ്ചർ, നറേറ്റർ, little man, they are all the same. So the little man describes he explains, the story is over, but he gives some explanation about his experience. Like, എൻ്റെ ഓണറിംഗ്ല അയാളുടെ ബോസിൻ്റെ കനിഷ്ക ആക്സിഡൻറ്റിന് ശേഷമുണ്ടായ അനുഭവത്തെക്കുറിച്ച് എനിക്കൊരു എക്സ്പ്ലനേഷൻ തന്നതുപോലെ, the stranger is giving him an explanation of the story. See, extraordinary എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ പോരാ, there are many extraordinary things about the story എന്നാണ് ഞാൻ പറയുന്നത്. So let us see what are those extraordinary things that he has got to say about the story. Jitya Rajesh. And Maria.
Yes, sir.
Please read.
Yes, said the stranger. There are three most remarkable things about my story. One is that it should be possible for a patch on the wall of a house in London not only to form the features of a gentleman in America, but also have a close association with his life. Science will not able to explain that yet. Another one is that the gentleman's name should bear any relation to the spot on which his features were being so curiously reproduced by some unknown agency. Is it not so?
Thank you, Anne Maria. So he says there are three extraordinary things about the story. So narrator തന്നെ അതിനെക്കുറിച്ചൊരു വിശദീകരണം തരാണ്. അത് വെറുതെ എക്സ്ട്രാ ഓർഡിനറി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ പോരാ. There are three extraordinary things. First one, the main a patch in a wall London house should have the features of a man from the United States. വേറൊരു രാജ്യത്തുള്ള ഒരാളുടെ ഫീച്ചേഴ്സ് വേറൊരു ഭൂഖണ്ഡത്തിലുള്ള ഒരാളെ വീട്ടിലുണ്ടാവുക. അത് ചിലപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെ വരാം. അതൊരു മോയ്സ്ചർ കൊണ്ടൊക്കെ വരുന്നത് ചിലപ്പോൾ നമ്മുടെ വീട്ടിലുള്ള പടം ചിലപ്പോൾ കണ്ട ഡൊണാൾഡ് ട്രംപിൻ്റെ പോലെയോ ഒക്കെ ചിലപ്പോൾ വരുമായിരിക്കും. പക്ഷെ അങ്ങനെ ഒരു രൂപം വരിക മാത്രമല്ല, അതിൻ്റെ ഇതിൽ വേറൊരു പ്രത്യേകത ഹി സേസ് not only to form the features of the gentleman, but also to have a close association with his life. അതാണ് അതിൻ്റെ ഏറ്റവും വലിയ പ്രത്യേകത. It is not only forming the features of the man, but there is a close relationship of the life of that man with this picture that is emerging on the wall. That is the first extraordinary thing that he talks about. And he says that it is not possible for science to give any reasonable explanation for this. It will not be possible for science to give any good explanation for this. So that is what he tells first about this experience. That is the first extraordinary thing. The next extraordinary thing is that the name of that person. Okay, so that is the next extraordinary thing, that the name of that person has a relationship with the name of the place where these features are seen. So the name where these features are seen is Great Ormond Street and on the wall. So the Ormond is there, wall is there, and that Ormond wall is the name of the gentleman also. That is the next extraordinary thing. So he's asking them, is this not very extraordinary? So what will you say if you were in the place of these listeners? What will you say? Is it not extraordinary? Is it not strange? It is, yes, very good. So that is how we will respond. Yes, Shima. So they will agree. Everybody will agree. So we also will agree. And they agreed. And so when somebody tells some story, some extraordinary story, the discussion will become more intense, isn't it? So that is what happened in the next paragraph. അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ഒരാളൊരു കഥ പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ പിന്നെ അങ്ങനെയുള്ള കഥകളായി ഒരുപാട് കഥകൾ വരും. പിന്നെ ആരെങ്കിലും ഒരാൾ അങ്ങനെ ഒരു സ്ട്രേഞ്ച് എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ്, മിസ്റ്റിക്കൽ എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ്, മിസ്റ്റീരിയസ് എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ് or a supernatural experience is narrated by someone, many others will come up with such similar experiences. So that is why in the next paragraph you can see that there is an intensification of discussion of the supernatural in the next paragraph. Let's now read the next paragraph. Jisna, please. Jisna. Shweta.
സാർ എന്നെ വിളിച്ചിരുന്നോ? എനിക്കൊന്നും കേൾക്കുണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ല.
Okay.
We agreed with him and our original discussion on supernatural occurrences set in again with increased excitement, during which the narrator of the amazing experience rose up and said good night. Just as he was at the door, one of the company recalled us to the course of our excited debate by asking him, before he left, what he considered the third most exciting thing in connection with his deeply interesting story. You said three things, said he.
Thank you, Jisna. So their discussion became more with increased excitement. Means the discussion became more intense. Okay, so the discussion becomes more intense, more serious, because there is a very good experience somebody has narrated. So in the meantime, the narrator of the amazing experience, who is the narrator of the amazing experience, is the little man. He rose up. Rose up means it's the past tense of rise up. Rise means to stand. Okay. Rise up means to stand up. Here is the past tense of rise up. Rose up means he stood up. He got up from the sitting position and he was going to leave. So one of the company, of the group of people who are listening to the story, they asked him, before he left, they asked him, we see, what is the third most exciting thing? You said there are three extraordinary things about the story. So you only said about two extraordinary things. So what is the third extraordinary thing? അപ്പം അയാൾ എഴുന്നേറ്റ് പോകാൻ തുടങ്ങുമ്പോഴാണ് ഇവർ ചോദിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പം അയാൾ നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞല്ലോ, there are three remarkable things about the story. In the previous paragraph, he says there are three extraordinary things about the story. Here it is said that there are three extraordinary things, three remarkable things about the stories, three special things about the story. അപ്പം അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് അയാളോട് ചോദിക്കുന്നത്, what is the third most exciting thing? You said three things എന്ന് പറയാം. ഏതൊക്കെയാണ് two things? ഏതൊക്കെയാണ് two extraordinary things? First extraordinary thing is okay, face on the wall. Okay. അപ്പോൾ ആ ഫേസിന് മൂന്ന് കാര്യങ്ങളുണ്ടെന്നാണ് അയാൾ പറയുന്നത്. ത്രീ എക്സ്ട്രാordinary തിങ്സ്. അതിൽ ഫസ്റ്റ് വൺ ഹി സെഡ് ഇസ് ദാറ്റ് the features of a man in United States, in another country, in another continent, is appearing in the house. Yes, Sri Lakshmi, yes. So the features of a man who is in the United States is appearing in a London house. Not only that, it has a relationship with his life also. That is, when something happens to the man in the United States, this face is in the London is affected. So when the man meets with an accident, the face becomes dim. When the man in the United States dies, the face in London disappears. So that is the first extraordinary thing. Second extraordinary thing is, as Sri Lakshmi has typed it in the chat box, it is about the name of the person. അതാണ് രണ്ടാമത്തെ extraordinary thing. That is, the name of the person has a relationship with the place in which that person's features are projected. That is, the name of the person is Ormond Wall, and his features are projected on a wall in Ormond Street in London. So that is the second extraordinary thing. Now the listeners, they are asking, you said 3 extraordinary things. So what is the third extraordinary thing? Question. So that is the next paragraph. Shweta, are you there? Krishnaja? Shilpa? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Shilpa, are you there? Aditya. Haripriya.
Yes, sir.
Can read the highlighted part.
On the third thing, he said as he opened the door, I was forgetting that the third extraordinary thing about the story is that I made it up about half an hour ago. Good night again.
So they were asking for the third extraordinary thing about the story. So he replies that the third thing is that he made it up about half an hour ago. What is the meaning of that? He made it up about half an hour ago. What is the meaning of that? Exactly. Yes, Shima. So he made up that story. It is not a real story. Very good. It wasn't real. It is not a real experience. അപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞ് തുടങ്ങിയത് കൊണ്ടാണ് ഇവർക്ക് ഭയങ്കര ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റ് വന്നത്. പക്ഷേ എല്ലാം പറഞ്ഞു കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് അവസാനം അയാൾ പറയാണ് ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് നോട്ട് എ റിയൽ എക്സ്പീരിയൻസ്. ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് എ സ്റ്റോറി ദാറ്റ് ഹി ക്രിയേറ്റഡ് ജസ്റ്റ് ഹാഫ് ആൻ അവർ അഗോ. ഇവരുടെയൊക്കെ കഥകൾ കേൾക്കുമ്പോൾ ഇയാൾ ഒരെണ്ണം പഠിച്ചുണ്ടാക്കിയതാണ് അതിൻ്റെ ഇടയിൽ. So it is not a real story. Then after he says that, these listeners will all feel ashamed at having listened to a false story, thinking it to be real. So he was successful in making a fool of the entire listeners that evening. So this just with this feeling of success that he is going to go back home, whereas all the listeners will feel very much ashamed. They will be feeling a lot of shame because they had believed that this experience that he narrates was real, whereas it was all made up story. So it is not a real story. That is the end of the story. You can read more about E.V. Lucas if you log into this website. You can learn more about not only about him, you can also find out a lot of books, news, features, archives, etc. You can just log into this website and you can find so many links here. What are the books that are available? If you click on each of these links, you can find authors, and if you type the name of the authors, you can find the list of authors also. So for example, if I type in that books link, that is the books, click here, you can come to this authors page. Authors എന്ന് പറയുന്ന പേജിൽ വരും. Suppose if I type E.V. Lucas here on the author list, there all the details, all the books by E.V. Lucas will be listed here. You can actually download it for free. There's no cost involved. You can freely download the books if you click at these links, and you can read these books. So it is an online free resource which we can use. So that brings us to the end of the score text, that is the story Face on the Wall. We'll continue with the rest of the topics in the next class. That's all for today. Thank you for joining. Have a nice afternoon. Goodbye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.